Hey guys, what's up? Back in Bogota again, look at that beautiful sunset. I'm here to talk about something a little less beautiful or interesting than this sunset. It is about sliced bread. What do you think about sliced bread? Are you a consumer of sliced bread? Do you like it? Do you think it's not really bread? Or do you think it's the greatest thing since modern writing? Well, stay tuned. We have got an episode coming up for you about the history of sliced bread and a phrase that we like to use as well related to that. So stay tuned. We'll see you next time. I'm here to show you contextualization. What is contextualization? It is putting target vocabulary that we learn into context. And we should do this with all of our vocabulary to help us understand it better. Why? Well, let's think about children. When we are children, barely able to speak, what do? We are constantly absorbing context, vocabulary, situations. We learn when to say no and when to say uh-oh. And when we get to school time, we already have that understanding and then we build on that. We continue to watch content, consume information from our parents, our grandparents, school, classmates, and then what does the teacher do? They tell us to put it into practice, write papers, compositions, essays, poems, responses, sentences, all of this to help us create, to help us solidify this vocabulary into our brains. So, why am I telling you this? Well, guess what? There is something that is going to make your life a lot easier, and it is going to be a repeating thing in our class. We are going to see it a lot. So get ready for that. All right. So let's go to the play-by-play to understand what this thing is and why it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. All right, so this is youglish.com. Welcome. It is a YouTube database where you can search by word, by phrase, by type of word, by exclamation, and you can specify with a hashtag about a certain situation. For example, hashtag Donald Trump says something, hashtag Obama says something, hashtag manga, hashtag football. You name it, they will provide the information for you. Let's just look up since sliced bread. Okay. Perfect. We have got Mr. Garrett Oliver, I think his name is Garrett Oliver, the Brooklyn Brewery founder. This is actually a very, very interesting talk that I found.
I went to Boston University. We drank beer basically every day. The thing was, we didn't like it. We didn't like it. There wasn't anything to like. It was yellow, it was fizzy, and I will tell you the truth. We drank the mass market brands like Budweiser when we had money. We never had any money, but if we had a little bit of money, we got that stuff. Because at least it tasted like water. The other stuff, which I will not mention by name, tasted much, much worse than water. They were horrible, absolutely horrible. The thing is that those mass market brands won out for a reason. The mass market bread won for a reason. You've heard the term the best thing since sliced bread, but it never occurred to you probably to think about, well, what's so great about sliced bread? How could it be the best thing since sliced bread? Sliced bread was considered awesome. Stay fresh in a bag for 2 weeks, never throw out a slice, no food waste. That's great, if it's food. So, beer, we thought we knew what it was. It was yellow, it was fizzy.
I came across this Google Talk researching this phrase, and he comments on the history of food production and his favorite movie, The Matrix. So I highly recommend you check out his talk, learn some more about food and drink production, and you might learn some new words in the process. Oh, by the way, I found out he went to my alma mater, Boston University, a fellow terrier. Customers loved the experience, reliability, and consistency of sliced bread. Really? I will admit I thought sliced white bread was fantastic, and I think I even preferred it to other options, including my mother's own homemade bread. That is something I'll never live down in my family. But yes, with automated appliances rapidly penetrating the American home, mechanical bread making was not only an invention benchmark, but also a key indicator of the mechanization of daily life from the 1930s onward. Bread, whether it's soft like sponge cake, hard as a rock in the form of croutons, it is a staple in almost every culture, at least in some variation. It even inspired modern-day words like lord and lady, as well as companion. Even phrases like to break bread, the breadwinner, and more come from this staple food. Of course, in the early days of bread making and eating, without a proper knife, you were in trouble. It could be hard to make slices for your hot boiled beef, especially when you had a 30-minute break to shove something down your throat before going back to the factory. Therefore, when automatic bread slicers came onto the scene, they were indeed all the rage, especially in the American Midwest, one of the largest areas of wheat production in the world. The first bread slicing machine was invented in Iowa by Otto Frederick Rohwedder and became completely commercialized by the 1930s. He sold his bread slicing machine to the Chillicothe Baking Company in Chillicothe, Missouri. More and more bakeries soon wanted their own bread slicing machine, including one Alexander Taggart. So what about this phrase as a way of hyping a new product or invention? Well, a theory that we're going to use and accept is that it was an advertising slogan for Wonder Bread, the first commercial manufacturer of pre-wrapped, pre-sliced bread. So this Alexander Taggart was a third-generation baker. His father, after learning about baking from his father while living on the Isle of Man, an island in between England and Ireland, immigrated to the U.S. shortly after the Civil War. He opened his first bakery in Indianapolis in 1869, eventually joining forces with another baker, Burton Parrott, with whom they opened the Parrott-Taggart Baking Company together. By the turn of the century, they had sold and helped found the U.S. Baking Company, which merged into the National Biscuit Company, aka Nabisco. Locally, they continued to operate under their own banner. As a part of a marketing campaign, Taggart used the word wonder to capture the curiosity of the passers-by. Taggart's Wonder Bread, called in the advertisement a truly wonderful bread, became the talk of the town. The first documented reference to the exact phrase, surprise, surprise, was about the television. Okay, a few interesting facts about this topic. So, Polly want a cracker. Has anyone ever heard of Polly want a cracker? Well, that has to do with a commercial related to bread. Maybe one day we'll get a chance to talk about that. The Taggart plant, to maintain a clean look, painted everything bright snow white in the factory. Of course, using paint that was very poisonous. In 1943, on account of the Second World War, the government banned sliced bread. While bread has been used since the 17th century to clean the frescoes on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, Restorationists have found that Wonder Bread and its sponge texture is a remarkably efficient tool cleaning the creation of Adam.